Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my Halloween movie marathon, and tonight I'm going over the original Hellraiser film. So, I'm going to be pretty honest, this is another one of those franchises where I think the character looks cool, like the Pinhead character, the leader of the Cenobites. I just haven't got into his, I haven't really gotten into his movies much. I did see the first two films, and then I saw the last film that came out, Hellraiser Judgment, I think it was. The one that was about, like, that was basically the clone of Seven, where somebody is committing crimes based on the Ten Commandments. And that one was just awful. Like, it had a terrible production value, and it showed. But going back to the very first movie, this one was pretty good. The story was cool about how, like, the main story is basically how this guy who is trapped in hell gets revived by blood being spilled on the exact spot where he died, and through basically, like, black magic, he gets brought back, and but he's only like a skeleton with some, like, flesh on him. So in order for him to, like, survive, he convinces his former lover Julia to lure people back up to the attic where he was killed so that he can, like, kill them and rejuvenate himself, right? This was a pretty cool story. The characters of Frank Cotton, who is Kirsty's uncle, and Julia were played really well. It was really interesting seeing, like, Frank and Julia being, like, the main villains, as opposed to, like, Pinhead and the Cenobites. Like, they wouldn't. It's funny because, like, Pinhead and the other Cenobites are basically, like, side characters in this film. They didn't really take center stage until, I'd say probably, I think, the second and third film, to be honest. But Pinhead was great. I mean, Doug Bradley is always going to be amazing as Pinhead. Even the final girl, Kirsty, she's actually pretty underrated. She's not the best final girl, in my opinion. Like, I mean, the best final girls are always going to be, like, Nancy Thompson, Laurie Strode, Tommy Jarvis, Andy Barkley, but, even though she's only appeared in, like, three films, Kirsty, as well as her actress, did great as basically, like, being the one to stop not only Frank and Julia, but also the Cenobites. The gore is fantastic, especially at the end of the film when the Cenobites catch up to Frank, and, like, they rip his skin apart with chains, and the whole, like, Jesus wept scene is honestly awesome. The ending itself, where the puzzle box is taken by the old man who turns into a demon, is great. In fact, actually, I actually liked those movies so much, and the character of Pinhead so much, that I actually kind of got my own, like, puzzle box cube. And unfortunately, I think I got it off a cheap site so that it unfortunately doesn't open. But it's still pretty cool to, like, put on display, though, on my bookshelf. The movie was great. Even the music was pretty good in this first film. And when I saw that first film, like, I mean, I liked it so much that I immediately watched the second one, Hellbound, which it was all right. I didn't exactly enjoy the ending where the Cenobites all get killed by like this new Cenobite, but it was still pretty cool that like that Kirsty and that mute girl go to hell, where we actually see what hell looks like, or at least that movie's interpretation of hell. But all in all, like, this was a great first outing for the Hellraiser franchise. It's kind of a shame to see how far it fell before like the recent reboot came out, but it was still a very good starting point for the series. But with all that said, it's another great classic film to watch. And there's really not a lot that I can really say that's bad about this film, aside from that some of the effects look a little bit dated, especially the ones where it's just like light shooting out of the puzzle box. But even aside from that, like that was just a product of the age, right? But all in all, the movie was great. And again, it's that movie was the reason why I got my own puzzle cube. So so that's really the end of this review. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another one. And what's your pleasure?